Thank you. Thank you so much to the Human Rights Campaign for such a wonderful honor. You know, to me, queer visibility goes beyond an open button-down shirt, baggy jeans showing my Calvins, and a carabiner on my belt loop. It is much, much more than that. It is an inherited tradition of activism and solidarity. I am so inspired by my community members, my queer elders, both with us and not, who have bled for my right to be here. I don't take their sacrifice lightly. And it is in their honor that I must use my remaining time to speak on what I am witnessing today. And I thank the Human Rights Campaign for giving me the space to do that. The single most pressing issue of our time is climate change. 2024 was the hottest year in recorded human history, but you wouldn't know that based on the fact that the cumulative media coverage on climate across all major news outlets was only 13 hours and 51 minutes total in 2024. This is not some amorphous problem. We know exactly how it happened and exactly who is responsible. In my opinion, there are architects of humanity's slow extinction and the destruction of planet Earth. They are men with names. They are the CEOs of BP Oil, Shell Oil, ExxonMobil. They are the Cargill Agriculture CEOs. They are the CEOs of Tyson Foods. We don't expect the CEOs of these corporations to wake up one day cured of their sociopathy. We won't hold our breath waiting for them to do the right thing. And while we cannot reverse what's already been done to our planet, we can prevent it from getting worse. And we can shift the cost of repairing the damage away from working class Americans and onto the corporations who committed these crimes. We can make polluters pay. My queerness is a tradition of social justice, as is my Judaism. To me, these are traditions of humanity, of care for human life. All human life, equally. As a queer person, as a Jewish person, and as an American, I am horrified by the Israeli government's massacre of well over 65,000 Palestinians in Gaza. I am ashamed and infuriated that this mass murder is funded by our American tax dollars. It should not be controversial to say that we should all be against murdering civilians. I mourn for all of the Palestinian lives taken by the Israeli government, entire families and bloodlines destroyed. I also mourn deeply for the 1,200 Israelis killed by Hamas on October 7th and the ongoing suffering of the Israeli hostages. I know that calling for a ceasefire and the release of all hostages begs for the safety, security, and preservation of life of both Palestinians and Israelis. I know that my call for a liberated Palestine comes from a desire for mutual safety of all people living in the region, and I know that my condemnation of Israel's bombardment of Gaza is not despite what I learned in Hebrew school, but because of it. I love being Jewish, and I am so proud of my tradition. I was taught that central to being a Jew is asking questions, being inquisitive, arguing, wrestling with opposing points of view, questioning my own beliefs in order to keep learning and growing into a better human being, a better citizen of the world. I see it as antithetical to our deepest Jewish traditions to fall in line and not question the actions of a state enacting atrocities in our name. Israel's actions are not in the name of Jewish safety, and it is the very conflation of Israel's actions with the Jewish people that continues to endanger Jews around the world. Donald Trump and the Israeli government have suggested that displaced Palestinians be taken by other countries. We Jews know all too well the pain of having to leave our homelands or face certain death. We queer people know what it is like to be marginalized and demonized in society without the institutional power necessary to protect our community. Our histories and communal experiences demand that we recognize this familiar experience and stand in solidarity with Palestinians, that we say no to Trump, no to Netanyahu. As Jewish people, we must say no to the weaponization of our grief for the hostages and our historical trauma to justify murdering civilians. We have to look into the tearful eyes of the children of Palestine orphaned by American bombs and say no. Never again is now. Never again for anyone. Fascism is rising across the globe. We are watching our right to free speech dissolve before our eyes. Mahmoud Khalil, a Columbia organizer who protested the bombardment of his people, is sitting in an ICE detention center in Louisiana because his cry for humanity is in opposition to the military interests of our country and the agenda of the Trump administration. A young activist was ripped away from his 8 months pregnant wife in the night with no crime and no warrant. And Donald Trump says this violent disappearance was done to combat anti-Semitism. Mahmoud Khalil standing alongside both Palestinians and many Jewish students, calling for the Israeli army to stop dropping bombs on his homeland, does not make me feel unsafe. Elon Musk and Steve Bannon heiling Hitler does. Donald Trump calling a group of white nationalists with tiki torches shouting, "Jews will not replace us, very fine people," does. All struggles for liberation will be won by loudly opposing the corporations who fuel the destruction of our planet and the institutions that fuel mass death of our fellow human beings. Visibility is a responsibility. Those of us who have a platform must use our voices to ensure that speaking out is not outlawed altogether. Thank you.